Alright, fine. I come to you with a school project today, but I promise it'll be a good video. Today we're going to be talking about a gas that hopefully all of you guys are familiar with.
Ozone. It's kind of like oxygen except with an extra oxygen atom. And high voltage arcs of electricity make a lot of it.
Alright, anyway, let's talk about the ozone layer. The ozone layer is about 18 miles up and is only 3 millimeters thick. Now, as you all know, there has been a reoccurring hole in the ozone layer. It keeps appearing and then disappearing, and now it's back. This hole in the ozone layer is caused by a chemical that we know as chlorofluorocarbons. Yeah, it's a mouthful. Chlorofluorocarbons is a compound of chlorine, fluorine, and carbon. As chlorofluorocarbons get higher up into the atmosphere, ultraviolet radiation will actually strike those molecules and detach the chlorine atoms from the actual molecule. Those chlorine atoms will float around in the atmosphere and then create oxygen-chlorine compounds with the ozone. It's simply taken apart, forming new molecules that don't absorb UV radiation. Now, the ozone layer protects us from dangerous ultraviolet radiation that emits off of the sun. UVA is not really dangerous and is actually more commonly found within the atmosphere, and the ozone layer allows most of it to pass. Then there's UVB, which is responsible for sunburn and skin cancer. Fortunately, 95% of ultraviolet B waves are absorbed by the ozone layer, leaving only 5% to give us a hard time down here on the surface. Now, the wavelength of these particular ultraviolet waves is around 280 nanometers, which is crazy because, the dang camera won't focus on it. Anyway, you know what a hair looks like. A hair is 80,000 nanometers in diameter, so let's just take that into account, and then remember, UVB waves are 280 nanometers only. Now, these really small wavelengths are the most dangerous ones, which is why if UVC was able to get into the atmosphere, really sketchy things would start happening. If the UVC waves were to get in, well, UVC waves have a wavelength of around 100 to 200 nanometers, which is incredibly dangerous. Good thing we don't have to deal with that. That's why we want our ozone layer to stay intact. Now, the original purpose for chlorofluorocarbons is to be used in aerosol cans, solvents, and also refrigerants. And they've proved to be really useful, but, well, they poke holes in the ozone layer, like really, really big holes. Alright, so let's do a little bit of a risk-benefit analysis here. Chlorofluorocarbons are really good for refrigerants, solvents, and aerosol cans, but they suck at keeping the ozone layer intact. And without the ozone layer, again, herbivores would starve because all the DNA in plants would be manipulated and screwed around with the UVC and the UVB waves, and not to mention the incurable sunburn that we'd get, and that'd be the least of our worries. With all those super low wavelength waves flying around in the air, they'd go into our DNA and practically destroy us with skin cancer. Yeah, that's a big mouthful of trials. So, moral of the story, don't use chlorofluorocarbons. For the love of a mother, there's other alternatives that will do just the same. And when I say just the same, I don't mean destroy the ozone layer, but rather I mean to be used as a solvent in aerosol cans and as a refrigerant without destroying the ozone layer. For example, HFCs. It's like CFCs, except with no chlorine. No chlorine, no worries. Now, what have we actually done to fix this hole in the ozone layer? Well, back in 1987, exactly, wait a second. Hey, today's the anniversary of when they signed the Montreal Protocol. Let's see, it's 2021 and they signed it on this day in 1987. 3, 10, so 13 plus 34 years ago they signed the Montreal Protocol. Now, enough yap, what is the Montreal Protocol? The Montreal Protocol is a multilateral agreement regarding the environment that is able to help regulate the production of over 100 man-made chemicals that are considered to be ozone depleting. It was signed in 1987, but didn't become effective until 1989. And back in 2010, the production of CFC-11 was banned. CFC-11 was the main agent of poking a big hole in the ozone layer. But unfortunately, despite the banning of the production of CFC-11, it's still leaking out of substances to which it was applied before its banning year 2010. However, much progress was seen regarding this issue in between the years 2018 and 19. And unfortunately, in 2021 to this day, the hole is still wide open over Antarctica. However, we are still working towards getting that hole closed. And with the Montreal Protocol and the banning of CFC-11, I think we're heading in the right direction. To sum it all up, the ozone layer protects us from radiation from the sun that is not good for us. But chemicals we know as chlorofluorocarbons, which are commonly used in aerosol cans, refrigerants, and solvents, have been launched into the atmosphere every time we use those things. And the chlorine gets knocked off by UV light or UV waves and bonds with some of the oxygen atoms in the ozone, thus creating molecules that don't help with filtering out radiation from our atmosphere. Thus, a giant hole in the ozone layer has been opened up over the South Pole because of all these CFC emissions. But to fix this problem, we have banned the production of CFC-11 and in 1987 signed the Montreal Protocol, which limits the production of over 100 man-made chemicals that are considered ozone depleting. Well, I found this topic really interesting, so I actually got a lot of sources, most of which are from NASA and the UN and all that, because, well, you know you can get good sources from those companies. And for my teacher, you can find the sources in the description down below. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Even if you're not a part of my school, thank you for watching and sitting through this whole boring spiel about the ozone layer and chlorofluorocarbons and all that stuff. So that's all I have to say to you guys. And remember, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Upgrade it.